Hi, everyone. I'm Gwen Callahan, the co-director of HP Lovecraft Film Festival, and I am chatting live with the filmmaking teams from this year's Lovecraft Under the Gun 72-hour film contest. So first of all, congratulations to all of you guys for making an entire short film from start to finish using a line of dialogue that we gave you and a prop that we gave you that you had to use in the film and getting it turned in mostly on time. We had one film that's not in competition. Jamie Gower's The Last Man on Earth didn't make it under the deadline, but we wanted to show you his film anyway because these guys worked really hard on their films, and it's fun to see what people can do and what they come up with creatively in such a short period of time. So I'm going to introduce all the teams and then we're going to ask them questions. So we've got Jamie Gower with Last Man on Earth, Jeremy Peterson, aka A30 Studios with Danger, Trash People from the Dump with their film The Terror of the Lost Utensil, PDX Filmmongers with The Legend of the Brass Quarter, and Stole My Mango Productions with Dead Pixels. And again, congratulations to you all. Let's see Jeremy, you've competed before. Jamie, I believe you've competed before, and Trash People have definitely competed before because you've won before. For all of you, I'm curious about how you approach the writing aspect and like break it down into a shooting schedule and do all that stuff in just 3 days. Like, how do you approach that? I'm gonna make Stole My Mango go first because you guys are cracking me up.
I think process would be a little strong word to describe any of those aspects of our filmmaking. But yeah, we just argued for a really long time, and then eventually we just had to pick something.
Yeah.
That was kind of how that worked out.
We wasted our first entire evening arguing. We had an entirely different idea.
We had a
and
discussion.
then we scrapped it at the last minute.
Yep. It was fun.
Okay, so you guys had, I'm assuming, heated discussions about what the storyline was actually going to be. But once you settled on that, then how did you approach actually getting everything on film, getting this, your sound design or any kind of music and lighting and editing and all that stuff?
Well, we would be lucky to say that the arguing or the heated discussions stopped, but they continued throughout the whole process, which made it a very authentic filmmaking process, I would say.
Yeah. We eventually realized we needed to make shot lists, but that took about a day and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think like the organizational structures emerged through trial and error. That's what I would say. Yeah.
We also didn't have a script per se. We had more of a general storyline that continued to evolve throughout the process, and it's been extremely butchered in the editing process. So it kind of like fell apart. But there was so much more that we wanted to include, but we didn't have any sense of our length requirements. I think.
Yeah, we chose an overly ambitious scope.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll go back and do you have the footage that you would need to recut it to the way you want it?
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
I mean, I think another issue was probably like not really knowing exactly how to use the equipment during making the process. And so some of the shots, like the lighting or the focus or whatever, were kind of not as ideal as it would be, we would like.
And we have talked about like recutting it and doing it, like trying to complete it, but I think it's too painful to to re-experience, and so I think we're probably just going to use that energy and try to make a new film and learn from our mistakes.
You'll be hearing from Stole My Mango Productions sometime in the next 5 years.
Okay.
After we figure out what the plot is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. I'll look forward to that. Rick, for PDX Filmmongers, and I forgot to ask this question of Stole My Mango, but is this your first time making a film? And if not, how did you approach the whole process?
Well, it's the first time I've done this particular film race here. I've done other film races and made other short films. I just waited until I got the email with the requirements, the prop and the dialogue, and I just used that to kind of get some ideas for a story to come to me, and that I got a basic idea, then it kind of expanded from there. I already had the actors who are going to be in it, so I knew how many characters to work with, and I just kind of was able to write out a sort of a rough draft of the script, not the whole thing, just up to a certain point, and then I filmed that part of it on the Saturday, was it, or Friday, was it? We got the whatever the next day.
So you guys all got the prompt on Thursday afternoon, and
Okay.
then you had Friday, Saturday, and
So-
Sunday till
right.
6 p.m. to finish.
So Friday I went and filmed the first part of it, and then I filmed the rest on Saturday, and that was the part that I didn't have it. I had the ideas of what was going to happen, but I didn't have any, like a script written out or anything. So, but I just went out and filmed it, sort of, I mean, without a script, but just going with my ideas and kind of improv and stuff. And then went back that evening, and the rest of the day, Saturday night into Sunday, I just kind of worked on editing it until I got it done to where I thought it was the best it would be, and turned it in. So that was basically it.
Oh, I should mention that in case the audience didn't catch this, but the required line of dialogue was, "I told you it was dangerous to move," which is taken from Beyond, when Tillinghast is telling our narrator about the things that float and flop about him. And then the required prop was a brass coin. It had to be a brass coin. Whether it was brass in color, it didn't have to be actually made out of brass, but it had to be brass in color. So for Trash People from the Dump, you guys have a YouTube channel, so you're kind of used to cranking out little short films with music and everything. And Theo and Laura, you write all your music, you perform it all.
Yeah.
You both make all of the puppets and everything.
Yeah, usually on the first day when I get the stuff, like I immediately sit down and start writing the song. I usually just get my guitar out and start playing different riffs and stuff until I come up with something that vibes with me. And then I start compiling it together. The night before I had the idea for forks, though. I would just sit in bed, just looking at my hand, and I'm like, a hand sort of looks like a fork if you hold it upright. And what if you had forks that like worship this fork god, but it was actually a hand? And that was that.
Yeah. You told me that morning. You told me
I told her that idea.
Forks. And then a friend of us sent us a silly meme of the Little Mermaid, and I'm like, oh my god, I have a mermaid outfit. This is gonna be like a Little Mermaid silly, like wink and nod.
Yeah, she came up with the idea of the wraparound part at the beginning and end.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well since we're already doing forks, and then of course the Disney movie she uses the forks as a hairbrush or whatever. So that kind of worked in nicely.
Yeah.
And then yeah. The song took me about an hour and a half to write.
Yeah,
that's usually about the time I can get one out. Sometimes some years we've done this, it takes longer than that.
Yeah, it takes you like the whole first day.
Yeah. Some of them are a little more complicated. This one came out pretty easy. So
we tried to keep it as small as we could this year.
We had a very busy weekend.
Because we knew we already had a concert that we couldn't cancel, and we had a movie and stuff. So
there was a concert that was supposed to happen last year during COVID that was rescheduled, and of course it was the weekend this contest was going on. So we knew we had to work within the time frame that we had available, but I think it went pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I noticed that you also wrote music for when they weren't actively singing, like there was music throughout the whole piece, and so you scored that yourself as well.
Yep. And the recurring theme from the beginning, the slower part at the beginning, the main part of the song, and then when it picks up and it's kind of like with the heavier guitars towards the end, and then again with the slower, that's all the same theme and same riff done with different instruments at different speeds. The only time that it changes is when the one fork's kind of explaining what happened and they have the drawings. That part's the only part where the song is a different riff.
Fun. We always enjoy what's the songs that you come up with, and I liked the 80s synth vibe of this one. It's fun.
Thanks. Yeah, we usually go with an 80s synth vibe.
Yeah, we have one song we've been working on. We're gonna make like a cool music video
That's like
for that.
Gonna be very 80s.
It's called 80s Demon. 80s Demon. No,
80s Neon Demon Dance Party.
There.
That's a project in the works, though.
Awesome. Jeremy, your film was pretty creepy and kind of parts of it reminded me of some of the animation from like Heavy Metal when they were floating out in space. I don't know if that was on purpose. But you worked with this kind of animation before?
I have, but before the challenge is getting it to render in the time that you want to have it done. And Blender just released a new render engine that's much faster. And like this film probably would have taken a week to render, like in the old days. And I was able to render it in about 6 hours this time. So it was possible for a film contest. I don't think it would have been possible a year ago even. But technology changes, learning new tools, new things.
Nice. And how about your approach to the story? Like, so I know sometimes people have kind of a general story in mind before they get the prompts. And then like Rick, sometimes people wait for the dialogue and prop to kind of inspire them to a story. What is your approach with the storyline?
When I'm doing more traditional filmmaking, I usually get together with the team and we write the first night and schedule, and then film Saturday, and then edit on Sunday. And then we've got like a cheat day in there too. But for this one, I was also on vacation at the same time, so I only had about half the time I usually do. So I basically just like brainstormed it when I was driving down to Nesquin to see my friends, and kind of just started playing around with ideas and setting up a scene that I thought was cool and thinking of kind of a little storyline that would fit with it, getting the prop and the dialogue in there too.
So your film, because it's told kind of all, like there's no spoken dialogue and you kind of get the whole story from that one, like the tablet screen. Am I reading this correctly that the coins are like what I got at the end was that they were living entities that were spread out all across space, and then now they were heading towards Earth?
Yeah, so it's kind of inspired from like Color Out of Space, and the idea was there's that like blob of like light energy that like got too close to these coins and started like getting hungry for life or something, whatever the Color Out of Space wants. And they kind of all burst out and, you know, killed the astronaut that was trying to pirate them, and started floating towards Earth.
Okay.
Kind of a pretty loose storyline.
Right. So I like interpreted that correctly, because I was like, I couldn't tell if the stars were just stars, but then there was like obviously coins in the foreground. So I know that sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I'm dumb when I'm watching movies and I'm like, I don't understand what just happened.
I would not blame
Brian
you
will
for
have to explain it to me. I'm like, oh.
I would not blame you for having a different interpretation because it was pretty vague.
Okay. And did you have to like design all of the elements that we see on screen, like the spaceship and the debris and all of that stuff?
So some of it I found royalty-free models for. Some of it I did. I modeled the coins with like a little Cthulhu head on them, but you could probably never see them because they're moving too much. So it's kind of half and half stuff. With that, you know, time frame, you really have to try to use your time wisely, and modeling can be slow.
In the future, do you think you'll do more of this kind of animation or mix it with some live action?
The idea, I think, I'd like to have my options open for when I'm doing films, like to have some a little bit more fantastical stuff in it, you know, stuff that you can't just do in After Effects. So probably, we'll see. It's kind of to be determined.
Okay. I guess if it fits the project, it probably will make itself evident. Well, excellent. Well, thank you. For Jamie, you have it seemed like your prompt is kind of like that one sentence horror stories.
Yeah.
With The Last Man on Earth, Sat Alone in a Room. And then tell us about how you expanded from there.
This was an interesting process. That this is probably I kind of wrote this on the timeline in my editing software. I've got a library that I get. I'm actually using ScreenFlow, and they have their own library. So I just started searching for things, and what do they have, and learning ways of fooling the search engine into giving me what I want. For instance, haunted house gets you nothing. Haunted castle is what you want. Who knew? So not that I used it for this, but I started throwing things around. And once I found that eyeball at the end, I was like, okay, that's what's on the other side of the door. And then started working backward from that, and playing with chroma key for the first time. I got to destroy Los Angeles, which was very fun for 3-4 seconds, to have that guy wandering around, threw in some explosions, threw in some fire. So it was really kind of a thing of discovery. And then by the beginning of Saturday, I had kind of a film, and I had to go back and do a script that supported it. And what do I need to explain? What can I show? And work on that. And then sort of fit all that in, then the whole audio process, sound effects and all that.
Wow. It's just, that just sounds exhausting. You didn't actually have to, so did you use any new footage, or was it just all stock footage?
It's all stock. There's a couple of cases I had to go over to Adobe and pick up some very specific things, but most of it was just all this in this free library. And I know it sounds exhausting, but it was really fun. Of every once in a while, you'd find something and you just start giggling because you're like, oh, I know where I can put this, and that's going to go on there. And then having the monster punch the freeway was just a freebie. Because that's just how he puts down his arm at one point, and I found an explosion, and I went, I could put that right on his fist, kaboom! And so that was fun. So really, it was just me playing for like a day. So it wasn't. I didn't find it exhausting, but I know what you mean.
Well, excellent. I want to go back to Stole My Mango Productions, and I know your guys' storyline was pretty loose. But did you have kind of a Cthulhu mythos element in mind?
Yeah. Sorry. Could you repeat the last part of the question?
We have other people in the room who are distracting us.
Yeah. Oh, everyone
sorry
in
about
there.
that.
I'm gonna channel Glenn Howerton. Everyone, start shutting up, sitting down.
Thank you.
We're professionals.
My question was for you. Your story writing process was pretty loose, but did you start kind of with an idea of using a myth, like the Nyarlathotep features in your story? Did you have that in mind kind of at the beginning, or was everything fair game when you were writing this?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
that was shoehorned in.
Yeah, we were speaking with some other people who are maybe a little more familiar with Lovecraftian lore, and they're like, you need to put in something. No offense. And then one of our friends who's here did some research about different Lovecraftian entities that would be like suitable for our, rogue GPT-3 algorithm. That was what we were thinking about, was like, and I don't even know if that was conveyed, but that basically a guy uses like a writing algorithm that sort of like, infects his mind and then causes him to want to do some murders. That
came through.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Well, I liked that. Nyarlathotep is one of those characters that is closer to humans and seems to care more about humans in that he's more interested in them. Not that he really cares what happens to them, but he's more interested in what they do and entertained by them. So I thought that was a fitting great old one deity. I don't know. There's a whole pantheon and hierarchy. People get very upset when you get it wrong, but he is one of the Cthulhu mythos gods that figures heavily into the arts. And so I thought with the writing, the writing thread and Nyarlathotep and him using an app to basically feed on your soul seemed fitting for him. It seemed on brand.
Wow, I'm really glad that worked out.
So good job. Happy accident.
I told you.
Your whole Discord server working away on it. Yeah.
Okay. And for the rest of you, I have the same question. Like, did you have do you have a favorite Cthulhu mythos or Lovecraft deity that you like to work in, or did you just not really have that in mind when you started your films?
I didn't really have any preconceived ideas with it. No.
Do you have a favorite mythos character? Just in general.
From the Lovecraft, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, I know somewhat of some of their stuff. I'm not overly familiar with it, so I don't really at this point.
All right. hplovecraft.com has the Lovecraft archive and texts of all of his fiction if you guys want to read up for next year. You have 11 months and 2 weeks. So.
The only films I'm familiar with the Reanimator films, that's mainly as far as I like those 3 films, so, but I don't have anything else to really go by to know enough about it to have a favorite or anything.
Okay. All right. I thought your story pulling in the legend, like this urban legend about a brass quarter, and then the older version of Sandy showing up and being a little sinister was very had a nice cosmic horror element to it, where there's kind of interdimensional liminal space out in the woods. And speaking of the woods, how did you get the wind effect? Because I was watching that and I'm like, did that just happen, or did you have like 5 leaf blowers that you were blasting her with?
I had one very high-powered leaf blower that I had with me, and that's how I got the wind effect.
Okay. Very nice.
It worked. It worked. It's the first time I used it, and it worked. I was pretty happy with it. So it worked pretty well.
And Jeremy, was your film inspired by other films? Like, do you have a favorite Cthulhu mythos element?
Well, I mean, this one was specifically kind of Color Out of Space themed, like the Nick Cage movie came out last year or whatever, and I was kind of thinking about it. But I really like the whole like mythos in general, like the whole like tapestry of different like unnameable horrors that are just out there waiting and doing their own thing. But like filmically, I was kind of thinking about Aliens or Alien and like some of the like more spacey horror kind of stuff. Because I don't know of any Lovecraft stories off the top of my head that take place in space specifically. So had to draw a little inspiration from other films.
So Polaris, is that takes place in outer space?
In the Walls of Eryx.
Oh, in the Walls of Eryx. In the Walls of Eryx is
okay.
Outer space, I guess.
Not space, it's like Venus.
But it's interplanetary, not so much space travel, because I don't know that really was a thing yet. Maybe in science fiction. But it's interesting that, you know, Lovecraft kind of drew upon the science of the day to inject kind of a modern feel to his stories, even though we think of him as like an old timey author that wrote in the 1920s. And when he was writing, he was actually drawing on, you know, like there was this research on like the forbidden colors and like tricking both your eyes into seeing like red and green in one eye or the other. So it's always fun for me to see how people translate that into now, like modern stories, telling modern stories with a cosmic horror and Lovecraftian bent to them, not just constraining themselves to the period in which it was written. So it's pretty fun that all of your guys' stories were either fantasy or science fiction or modern day. So excellent. So with Stole My Mango, they had a happy accident picking Nyarlathotep to interject into their story to give it kind of that cosmic horror lift. Do any of the rest of you have anything like that where something maybe didn't quite go according to plan, or you jammed it in at the last minute that ended up being really great for your film?
I can't really think of it. I mean, the whole thing kind of, you know, I just hope everything goes smoothly according to my general the way I see it happening. Like I said, it's hard to really get anything too organized for a film race because just the nature of it. So I can't think of anything that really stands out that was like a happy accident per se. So I mean, I guess the whole thing was in a way.
Like it wasn't raining that day.
Yeah, well, yeah, I looked ahead and I saw that the weather forecast was going to be no rain. So that, assuming the forecast held up, I knew I was going to be lucky with the weather. So, which I was. I think it started raining on the Sunday, and then the next few days after it rained. So I did get lucky with that. So, but yeah, no, I was pretty happy with. I tried to keep it simple, so I could have time to go home and put everything together without feeling too rushed.
Simple is good. Simple is good.
Yeah.
I think that's we tell you that in the guidelines too.
Yeah, you do.
Don't bite off too much.
I had a technical one that was kind of a happy accident. When I was modeling all the coins and setting them up, I wanted to do a physics simulation so they could kind of scatter around the astronaut. And I made a mistake so that when I started the simulation, they all like exploded like really quickly. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It looks neat. And kind of rearranged some things to use that in a more like story way. And like that kind of ended up being like a big part of the ending is like watching the cones kind of like float off towards Earth. So that was definitely started as an accident and kind of worked it into the entire plot.
Nice. Trash people, any fun things, or Jamie, you got one loaded?
Trash people, do you have one loaded up?
Yeah, sure. With the wraparound story that Laura came up with, once I started writing this song and working that into it, it kind of like completely changed the whole overarching idea to me. Because like originally it was just this fork story, just gonna be forks with no explanation. And then when she came up with this wraparound, I'm like, it's almost like in my head lore, like she's playing with some kind of strange monstrous creature, like she's like taking care of some kind of strange creature in this cavern, and that's like the thing you watch is them just playing this game together. So that kind of came out of nowhere and kind of changed like how it felt to me, and I actually liked it a lot better after that.
Nice.
I was just going to say that the big monster at the beginning of the apocalypse sequence was originally like 4 or 5 squadrons of those octopi things, the floating octopi you saw later on. And then, and you get in the middle of the thing and your brain's going and you're thinking, oh, wait, am I saying that it's an octopus apocalypse? Or am I saying it's a generalized apocalypse? Do we need a couple of different monsters to show that? Because am I saying that the guy at the end is the octopus? You get yourself into these ridiculous, that probably if I had left it a squadron of octopi, I don't think anybody would have noticed. But from like 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Saturday, that was a very important issue. And I spent a lot of time on it. Came up with the big dude. But it's just funny that you get into things and you really start thinking about, there's 3 minutes. Is this sound effect right? Or am I sending people in the wrong direction? And then eventually one calms down. I've never calmed down myself, but I hear it happens.
How much, for all of you, like how much time did you have to kind of think about a soundtrack for your film?
Well, I didn't end up using one. So I had a piece that someone sent me, but I didn't really have any time to try to fit it in there to make it work. So I just kind of went with the natural sounds. And then the sound, that wind noise that I had for those little small sequences, I just kind of said, that's my soundtrack. Left it at that. So
I shoveled my sound in the last 30 minutes of my film. I wasn't even sure if I was going to have sound or not because I was stretched for time. I just pulled out some synth experiments I had on my drive and kind of found one that sounded eerie and weird and put it on top and it kind of fit. So I was like, cool, this works. Maybe another happy accident.
Nice. So you had your own kind of bank of, I know Kevin MacLeod is a very popular go-to for soundtrack pieces in people's films. But so you make music as well as doing film editing and film production and all that stuff?
You could say I have too many hobbies. So.
That's awesome. Anybody else have anything you guys want to share about your film that I didn't ask you about?
I just want to say, if anybody can explain why I use ukulele over the credits, if you could explain it to me, it would really help. Because I wanted that so bad, and my wife was just going, "Why is this playing over the credits?" I go, "I don't know. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine." Yeah, one of the stranger decisions I made.
Okay. There's it's not as jarring as some films we've seen where like the whole film is very serious and dark and dour and like sinister, and then the end credits are like happy fun time music. That's always puzzling to me. So
Super loud.
or super loud like heavy metal music after like a costume drama or something. Just an example.
Oh, one thing that we wanted to say about the film is that insofar as we had a vision for it, we had imagined a kind of fight sequence between me and Lena at the end, and we had filmed a few chases. One of the first shots we did was me jumping over a fence. I in my come down, I landed on a board that had a nail in it, and it went the nail went right between my toes. So I was fine, but then we're like, wow, this would be a great shot. And so then, I ended up redislocating a rib when we were filming a different sequence. So we couldn't do the fight. So we just thought, oh, we'll have me land on a nail so I'm incapacitated. And that's something that I shot with Joseph at like midnight the night before. And I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, we're just using whatever condiments we could find in the fridge. I don't think you could track the blood, but we had a little smattering.
Yeah, not even ketchup.
Not even.
We had to improvise. Yeah, it's like soy sauce.
Oh, you didn't just cut yourself open and bleed through art.
If I really cared, right?
Disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Well, awesome. My gosh, yeah, the whole nail in the board going right between your toes. That's a very lucky. Oh my goodness. Anyone else have any tidbits they want to share? Otherwise, we will wrap up. And
well, when I saw the brass coin requirement, I was thinking, oh, I don't have any brass coins, and then I'm like, huh. What I ended up doing was I got a quarter and I spray painted it, combination of copper and gold to make it look brass. So that's how I came up with my brass quarter.
Nice. It was good. It was great.
Ours is made of wood.
Awesome. So I was surprised. I was hoping someone would come up with like a carousel thing, the brass coin, or I guess it's a brass ring. But well, next time. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap up and just have each of you tell us where we can find more about you and your film projects on the internet. Go ahead, Jamie Gower.
Oh, I'm hoping to be starting up a media project pretty soon, and all my stuff is under best places Instagram, Required Field Productions, Rec Field Prod, REQ Field PROD. So that'd be me.
Jeremy.
You can go to a30studios.com. Right now it goes to my YouTube, but it'll probably go to something else soon. So we'll see. I kind of wax and wane on how much I want to be on social media.
Reasonable. And I just want to thank Jeremy again in front of everybody for helping us with this year's streaming festival. He and our friend Dave were instrumental in us being able to actually pull this whole thing off with filming our intros, and then Jeremy edited everything, all the onstage Q&As that you've seen throughout the streaming festival. Jeremy basically took all that footage, edited it, color corrected it, and made it presentable for you. And so thank you again for that. I really appreciate it. And then thank you for being on the chat with us too. Trash people from the dump, where can we find you on the internet?
So our main thing is just our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/trashpeople. But we also have our other social medias. All of mine are at Theo Monstar. That's just Theo MONSTAR.
And you can find me on all the socials, including TikTok. We do a lot of TikTok. Ant Gore, AUNT Gore.
And Rick, PDX Filmmongers.
Well, I have a YouTube channel. It's PDX Soap Opera is the YouTube channel. I was at one point, a long time ago, I was going to try to make a YouTube soap opera thing. So, but that's where all my film stuff's on there. And I'm also right now on Facebook. I either my own page, which is Rick Bauer, or I have a PDX Filmmongers page, but I think I need to send an invite to people to, I don't know if someone can just go to Facebook and see it or not.
Okay.
I'm not a website or social media, like I'm super tech savvy and all that stuff. I'm trying to get more of a presence online and things of that nature. So, but right now, those are the two that I have right now. So.
And Bryce and company, Stole My Mango Productions, where do people find your work online?
Well, we don't have any social media. Part of us are, some of us are Kaczynskians, so it's kind of like.
We may form a Twitter egregore someday.
But probably like local grocery store just around. Just ask for who stole my mango, and
very, very esoteric.
Oh my gosh.
So I know, Alina, you are an actor as well. Are you going to be appearing in any productions that we might be seeing anytime soon?
Probably with the Stole My Mango productions,
okay.
For future productions, yeah.
So people can keep an eye on the HP Lovecraft Film Festival Lovecraft Under the Gun competition for your future works.
That or
we got something else in the works. Yeah.
We'll see. Just call out for Alina Stark.
No, next time I'll have something to promote, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
A year from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then for each of you, I don't know if it's too late to sign up for it, but we have friends who run another film contest called Guignol Fest. And some of you may be already participating in it, but that's a really fun one as well. For those of you watching, they usually screen at the Clinton Street Theater. They may be streaming it online this year. I'm not totally sure, but they have a Facebook page called Guignol Fest, Guignol Fest. And that's another really great showcase of local filmmakers. And I just want to say that that's one of the reasons why we started the Lovecraft Under the Gun film competition, was because we were getting all these fantastic entries from all over the world, but not a lot of filmmakers doing cosmic horror in Portland. And I knew that there were filmmakers in Portland and wanted to kind of pull them into our community. So we kind of made this a competition and hoped to attract more and more local teams to participate in our festival. So thank you for your intrepid teams having their entries play in our festival, and we hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll sign
Thank you.
off. And
Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian's about to
Thanks,
hand me a
everyone.
delicious looking drink
Hi, everyone.
in my skull mug.
This is actually, I just want to pop in and say hi before we signed off. And this is the last live thing we're doing today. So this is kind of a wrap for us. You know, there's more films for folks to watch, but we get to sit around our PJs and, answer customer support emails. But for all of you that took part in the festival, I just want to do a quick toast. This is a 1944 Mai Tai. That's what we're drinking.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, take us out.
Oh, I got to do that. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Can we wait for that?
Bye.
So big waves.
Goodbye.
Bye.